And the Israeli military is expanding its ground offensive into all parts of Gaza, telling people in the south to evacuate to safe zones. The IDF says the war is entering a new phase, but promising maximum effort to safeguard civilians. Now a UNICEF official says nowhere in Gaza is safe. As Israel's defense minister tells ABC News, the war could last at least another 2 months. ABC News foreign correspondent Soufi Burridge has the latest from Sderot, Israel.
Battles raging, with Israeli troops now operating in southern Gaza. The IDF releasing new video and confirming its forces are on the ground in every area of the Strip. And from the sky, relentless bombing. The IDF saying they've carried out around 10,000 airstrikes since the start of the war. Israeli missiles striking a residential building in the south this weekend, in video circulating online. And here you get a sense of the carnage and horror after a missile strikes. These boys crying for their father. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians moving to the south, seeking safety there. Israeli officials promising maximum effort to safeguard the civilian population. This young man crying for his brother. So many desperate images emerging. UNICEF saying nowhere is safe in Gaza. And there are so many young victims.
It is a war on children, and that is so clear in everything we see here.
The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry reporting more than 700 killed since the ceasefire collapsed Friday. More than 15,000 dead since the start of the war. The US pushing Israel to better target its strikes.
We believe that they have been receptive to our messages here in terms of trying to minimize civilian casualties. They published online a map of places where people could go to avoid combat and where they could go, where they could find safety.
And with the war back on, emotions running high in Tel Aviv this weekend. A rally for the remaining 137 hostages still held in Gaza.
Well, there is still real energy, real determination from these people to get the remaining hostages home.
Keith Siegel is one of 8 Americans still believed to be in captivity. His wife, Aviva, released days ago during that week-long ceasefire.
You want another pause in the fighting. That is the key thing for you right now.
We want whatever needs to be done quickly, and in our opinion, that is a pause in fighting to allow Keith and all the hostages to be returned.
And I want to bring in ABC News foreign correspondent Soufi Burridge in Sderot, Israel, along with ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy for more. Tom, the IDF is saying that they've entered a new phase in this war. You have a good view of Gaza from where you are. What are you seeing and hearing?
Diane, we've been hearing a really intense bombardment by Israel into Gaza. I mean, it's getting dark now, but you can probably see the smoke in the distance there. We've been hearing Israeli artillery, airstrikes pounding the Strip for the last 5 hours. Journalists based at this position, we know, who've been here since the beginning of the war, say this has been one of the most intense bombardments since the war began. And it really tallies with what the IDF is saying right now. They're talking about this being a new phase of this war. They're talking about pursuing Hamas not only in the north, but also in the south of Gaza. That is the south. This is the north of Gaza behind me. And really, they're now talking about this being a new phase of the war. And really, we've seen such suffering inside Gaza all throughout this weekend. Really difficult images to watch. Children being killed, the UN calling the situation there catastrophic. And Israel now trying to pursue people in the south, trying to pursue Hamas. They say they're doing everything they can. They insist that they're making the maximum effort to protect the civilian population there. Diane?
Mick, Israel's defense minister tells ABC News that the only way Israel would even consider resuming any kind of talks is if Hamas fulfills the original agreement and returns the 15 women and children it's still holding. That's what Israel's saying. So how likely is that to happen?
So, Diane, that is unclear because Hamas is essentially saying they don't have them. And that is obviously a disagreement in the original agreement. So if that falls apart, then my understanding is if they start a new negotiation process, it would have to go back through the same process in Israel, so through the entirety of the government, because this is not in line with what they agreed to in the first place. And they haven't had a proof of life or shown the bodies, quite frankly, of those that are deceased. And so that's going to be a serious sticking point when it comes to restarting these negotiations.
Now, Tom, the IDF is telling people in southern Gaza to evacuate. Where are they supposed to go?
I think it's a great question, and that's really the question which the UN has been posing time and time again. I mean, look, Israel says that they have created so-called safe zones in southern Gaza. They're dropping leaflets. They've got QR codes. In theory, people can use the QR codes if they've got an internet connection, but that's a war zone. Most people, or some people at least, won't have that. So it's complicated. And look, I think there's no doubt about it. I mean, Israel's saying it's going to limit the civilian casualties, but the reality is it cannot prevent civilian casualties. I mean, what we're seeing from the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza this weekend is like more than 700 casualties since early Friday, and I think those figures are likely to go up very soon. I mean, just because you can probably hear it in the background, Diane, it is constant. It is literally every few seconds, boom, boom, boom. You can hear it there. Israeli artillery firing out, airstrikes right in. Sometimes we can actually feel the residential buildings here in Sderot shake a little bit, reverberate from the force of the explosions in Gaza, and that is several miles away. Diane?
All right, Tom, Soufi, Burridge in Sderot, Israel, and national security defense analyst Mick Mulroy, thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.